Hello and welcome back to the Understanding the Nature of Man. This should be a pretty short video because we're just going to go into a brief introduction on the topic of the seal of God that leads into the next part of the study. But first off, as you can see with the mouse near the like button, and go over to the gear on the bottom right of the video. You can see playback speed, put it to 1.5 or 1.75 to speed me up. And the purpose of this is that because I speak pretty slow and may have some gaps or pauses, to make my reading and listening to me more bearable, I'd advise speeding up the video. You'll still be able to understand me, but it'll be a bit faster. And yeah, so let me just do this. All right. The seal of God. This is going to be a main study, and we'll get into a deeper study on this another day. Nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure. Having this seal, the Lord knoweth them that are his. So the purpose of this seal seems to be a distinction between God's people and the unfaithful. And let everyone that nameth the name of Christ depart from iniquity. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 19. So God's people are to depart from their sins, put their sins away. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Revelation chapter 14, verse 9 through 10. So this is talking about punishment for the wicked who follow the beast in false worship. And this is a false worship that's going to be presented as if it's worship to God, when it's really not worship to God, but to self and another person ultimately. That is the bad, evil one. Why must we listen and give our undivided attention to this message? When God sends to men warnings so important that they are represented as proclaimed by holy angels flying in the midst of heaven, he requires every person endowed with reasoning powers to heed the message. The fearful judgments denounced against the worship of the beast and his image. Revelation chapter 14, verse 9 through 11. Should lead all to a diligent study of the prophecies to learn what the mark of the beast is, and how they are to avoid receiving it. And I saw another angel ascending from the east and having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. Revelation chapter 7, verse 2 through 3. As I should have said before reading Revelation, keep in mind a lot of what you're listening to from Revelation is symbolic. What is the first place in the Bible that mentions the mark of the beast? And MOB is short for mark of the beast. So anytime you hear MOB later on, that's what it's referring to. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. Saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made the heavens, the earth, and the sea, and the fountains of waters. Revelation chapter 14, verse 7. Then in verse 9 and 10 speaks of the mark. So just reading the red underline. If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. Revelation chapter 14, verse 9 through 10. What does the Bible say is the seal of God? The 7-day Sabbath. What text in the Bible confirms that? First, the biblical seal has three components. Number 1, the name. Number 2, the title. And number 3, the territory. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month. There was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to take the spoil of them for prey. Esther chapter 3, verse 12 through 13. Do we see all three parts that contain a biblical seal from what we just read? Yes. Name, Ahasuerus. Title, king. Territory, kingdom, provinces. Province, basically territory, region, state, etc., right? Second witness. And Jezebel his wife said unto him, Doest thou now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let thine heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. So she wrote letters in Ahab's name, and sealed it with his seal, and sent the letters unto the elders and to the nobles that were in his city, dwelling with Naboth. 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 7 through 8. Who is Ahab? A king. Name, Ahab. Title, king. Territory, the kingdom of Israel. This is a biblical seal. Where do we find God's biblical seal? The law of God. What text in the Bible says that? Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 16. Where is the seal of God? It's found in the heart of God's law, the Ten Commandments, the seventh-day Sabbath. Abba, Father, Sabbath. Can't spell Sabbath without saying Abba. It is the name of the Father which is found in the Sabbath. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. Romans chapter 8, verse 14. And because ye are sons, God hath sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. Galatians chapter 4, verse 6. Which of the 10 commandments shows us God's seal? The fourth commandment. Remember to keep the Sabbath day holy, the seventh day of the week that God rested on after finishing his work. Now you're probably starting to see why we had to do the brief study, the brief introduction of the Sabbath. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them is. Isn't that sounding familiar? And rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 through 11. This is what, by the way, the three angels' messages is referring to. The third angel's message is referring to serve the one who created the earth, the heavens, and the seas and stuff, right? And where do we see that mentioned? In the Sabbath commandment. The third angel is referring back to the Sabbath. We're supposed to keep it holy. It is one of the main things that most of professed Christian denomination does not genuinely want to keep. We need victory. Title: the Lord thy God. Name: Abba. Territory: heaven, earth, the seas. Doesn't speak of Sunday or any other common day, does it? No, because it says the Sabbath day, not a Sabbath day. It says the Sabbath day. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. Revelation chapter 14, verse 6. Or verse 6 through 7. The him is a pronoun used for God here. The seventh-day Sabbath represents a finished work. And on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. So it doesn't say there, it says the. So it's a specific day. Because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. Genesis chapter 2, verse 2 through 3. This to us in our Christian life should represent a finished work. Victory over sin. Nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure, having this seal, The Lord knoweth them that are his, and let every one that nameth the name of Christ depart from iniquity. 2 Timothy 2, chapter 2, verse 12. Verse 19, my bad. This verse is saying God knows his people who have the seal of God. Is the seal Sunday, Friday, the other common working days? No, it is the seventh-day Sabbath. To be clear, it's from Friday sunset to throughout Saturday to Saturday sunset. Just to be clear, the last day of the week, commonly called Saturday. What must be the experience of Bible-believing Christians who nameth Christ? The experience must be departing from iniquity. What is iniquity? The transgression of God's law. How did God make Adam and Eve? In his own image. And God said, Let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 through 27. The seal of God is to reproduce God's character into mankind. So the question basically is, did God recreate his character into you yet? Christ is waiting with longing desire for the manifestation of himself in his church. When the character of Christ shall be perfectly reproduced in his people, then he will come to claim them as his own. And that's how you can understand the harvest. Because when you go to harvest something, it is ripe. And that's why we're still basically why we're still here today. A lot of God's people are not ripe yet, to say the least. The fourth commandment alone, of all the 10, contains the seal of the great lawgiver, the creator of the heavens and the earth. Those who would have the seal of God in their foreheads must keep the Sabbath of the fourth commandment. The seal of the living God will be placed upon those who only bear a likeness to Christ in character. So you're starting to see the main purpose of going through all the good fruits, right? It helps us because the fruits of the Holy Spirit is helping us to be like God. It's helping us to bear fruit of God's character in us, right? Reproducing God's character. So the soul is to as wax takes the impression of the seal, so the soul is to take the impression of the Spirit of God and retain the image of Christ. Those who receive the seal of the living God are protected in the time of trouble must reflect the image of Jesus fully. Alright, so that'll be the end of that section. And then when we next video, we'll continue on going more into the topic of the seal of God, as we got a few things to go over here. So I'll see you guys later.